The galaxy was very big, but it felt empty. On the planet Loran Prime, the sky was burning. Tall crystal cities that once shined like stars were now broken and black. Smoke covered the air. The ground shook again and again as enemy ships moved above the planet like dark clouds of death. The Card Dominion had arrived. They did not come to talk. They did not come to rule. They came to erase. The Loran people were not fighters. For thousands of years, they believed knowledge was stronger than weapons. They believed art, music, and peace would protect them. Their hands were made for building, not killing. Their voices were made for singing, not screaming. But now they screamed anyway. Families ran through ruined streets. Children cried as buildings collapsed. Elders held each other, waiting for the end. The planet's defense fleet was already gone, destroyed in minutes by car warships that were faster, stronger, and merciless. Inside the last standing council hall, cracked and burning at the edges, the Loran leaders gathered. Their robes were torn. Their faces were filled with fear and shame. They had failed their people. "We have tried everything," one elder said softly. "Negotiation, surrender, silence." Another elder closed her eyes. "And prayer." That word hung heavy in the air. Prayer. For generations, the Loran prayed to the heavens, to ancient watchers, to higher beings, to the idea that someone, somewhere, cared. No one ever answered. Outside, a distant explosion shook the hall. Dust fell from the ceiling. A child screamed somewhere far away. The youngest council member stepped forward. His hands were shaking. "There is one last thing," he said. The others looked at him. He pointed toward a sealed door behind the council chamber. It was old. Older than the city. Older than most written history. An emergency beacon, he continued. It was built by our ancestors. Before the age of peace. Before we believed we were safe. One elder's eyes widened. "That beacon was forbidden." "Yes," the young one replied. "Because it does not call allies, it calls anyone." Silence filled the hall. They all understood what that meant. The beacon would not send words. It would not send language or diplomacy. It would send raw emotion, fear, pain, desperation. A scream across the stars. It could reach dangerous worlds. It could reach monsters. Or worse. Nothing at all. Another explosion came closer. The hall's lights flickered. The eldest among them finally spoke. His voice was weak but clear. "We are already dying," he said. "If monsters hear us, then let them hear." No one argued. They opened the sealed door. Inside the chamber stood a tall, dark machine covered in dust and old symbols. It hummed softly, as if it had been waiting for this moment for thousands of years. The young council member stepped forward and placed his hand on the control surface. "What if something terrible answers?" he asked quietly. The eldest elder looked at the burning sky through the broken roof. "Then," he said, "it will still be better than silence." The beacon activated. A deep sound filled the chamber, not loud, but heavy. Like a heartbeat. Like a cry held too long. Across space, the signal traveled. It passed advanced civilizations who ignored it, calling it background noise. It passed ancient beings who chose not to care. It passed worlds that were too safe, too comfortable, too afraid. The Loran did not know this. All they knew was that the sky continued to burn. The car Dominion ships moved closer, ready for the final strike. The council members held hands. Some prayed, some cried, some simply waited. Far away, on a small blue death world called Earth, hidden sensors detected something strange. Not a message, not a call, but pain. Deep underground, human warning systems came alive. Red lights flashed. Old protocols activated, ones that had not been used in generations. Of protocols activated, ones that had not been used in generations. Human officer stared at the data on the screen. "This signal," he whispered. "This is a distress call." Another officer frowned. "From where?" The system answered with cold precision. "Origin Lauren Prime Threat Level. Extinction EV-int." Room fell silent. Then a third officer smiled slowly. Not with joy, but with purpose. "They're screaming," he said, "on Earth, where storms rage and life survives through struggle." Humans listened. And somewhere deep in human history, something dark and protective began to wake. The heavens had been silent, but the demons of Earth had heard the cry. Earth was chaos. Always had been. Humans had built their lives on chaos, and that made them dangerous. Storms tore across oceans. Volcanoes erupted without warning. Deserts burned under suns that seemed too cruel. The planet was a death world, but humans survived. They thrived where others would die. Every scar on their skin, every hardship in their memory, had made them strong, clever, and relentless. They were the demons the galaxy warned about, but no one remembered why. When the signal from Lauren Prime reached Earth, it did not travel quietly. It slammed into sensors buried deep underground, into satellites orbiting the planet, into ancient weapons bunkers long forgotten. Humans listened. Not with fear, not with hesitation, but with attention. They understood the tone immediately. It was not language, not words. It was raw pain, fear, desperation, a cry for help from the edge of extinction. Admiral Elena Reyes stood in the command room of the Hidden Earth Fleet. Her uniform creased and dusty from a decade of training and conflicts. Her hands were behind her back as she watched the data scroll across the monitors. The signal was strange, chaotic, almost alive. The eye had tried to translate it. It had failed. "It's not words," the machine said. "It's emotion." Reyes nodded. She did not need translation. She understood exactly what it meant. "They're asking for help," she said quietly. "And someone has to answer." Around her, officers paused. Some were young, some were veterans of Earth's endless conflicts. Many had spent their lives fighting enemies who were stronger, faster, and more numerous. They knew the stakes. They also knew that when humans fought for someone else, they became unstoppable. Ships began moving. Not the sleek, polished warships of peaceful empires, but dark, scarred vessels, built to survive hell itself. Their hulls were battered, their engines loud, their weapons old, but deadly. Names were painted on the sides: Hope of Manila, Iron Resolve, Last Promise. Each ship carried memories of wars fought, families lost, homes burned. Each crew knew pain personally, and now they were taking that pain to protect someone else. Sergeant Cole tightened the straps on his armor, checking the weapons on his belt. He had seen planets fall, cities burn, entire fleets vanish into nothing. But today, the pain he had carried for decades became purpose. A young soldier asked quietly, "Are we heroes?" Cole shook his head. "Heroes don't survive this long. We're just humans." "Humans," another replied, "that will make monsters regret every step they've taken." Reyes gave the command. The ships rose from hidden docks and launch pads across Earth. They did not leave in silence. Engines roared. Cannons tested. Humans did not announce themselves to the galaxy. They did not send messages of peace. They simply went to where they were needed. The Car Dominion, busy celebrating their conquest of Lauren Prime, did not notice at first. Their fleets dominated the skies. Their soldiers walked on cities without fear. They laughed, confident that nothing in the galaxy could challenge them. But Earth's demons do not ask for permission. They do not negotiate with cruelty. They move like storms, silent, unpredictable, relentless. The Lauren, on their ruined planet, looked up and saw at first as streaks of fire in the sky. Ships unlike any they had known, dark and scarred, cutting through space toward their world. Their hearts leapt. even when their bodies trembled with fear. "They are coming," whispered a child hiding in the rubble. "Yes," said an elder, tears running down her face. "They heard our cry." On Earth, Admiral Reyes and her fleet flew faster than anyone could expect. Each soldier carried a story of survival. Each ship carried centuries of human resilience. They did not fight for glory. They did not fight for profit. They fought for the helpless, for the crying child on a distant world, for a species that had been abandoned by the stars, somewhere deep inside. Humans understood something older than memory. When someone calls for help, ignoring them is a choice humans cannot make. The Car Dominion would soon discover that the galaxy had forgotten the demons of Earth, forgotten their cunning, their ferocity, their unbreakable will, forgotten that humans fight not because they are cruel, but because they are necessary. And when the humans reached Lauren Prime, the first screams of the Car Dominion would not come from the Lauren. They would come from those who had survived hell on Earth and learned to carry it with them wherever they went. For the first time in 10,000 cycles, the Lauren did not pray to the heavens. They did not hope. They simply waited, with hearts pounding. As the dark ships approached, the demons of Earth had awakened. And nothing would ever be the same. The sky above Lauren Prime burned like a river of fire. Smoke curled from ruined towers, and the stench of destruction hung heavy. The Car Dominion moved like predators, confident in their victory. Their ships were enormous, black as obsidian, lined with weapons that could wipe out entire cities in minutes. From the ground, the Lauren watched in terror, their hearts frozen, their minds screaming for some miracle that had never come. And then, it came. At first, it was only a flash, dark ships appearing between the stars, moving faster than light should allow. They did not announce themselves. They did not signal. They were simply there. The humans of Earth had arrived. Their vessels were battered, uneven, strange. Hulls were scarred with battle marks. Weapons hung ready, ancient but deadly. They moved like shadows of war itself, silent but alive with deadly intent. The Car Dominion's sensors blared. Unknown ships entering combat zone. The voice of a car officer shouted in panic. The commander froze in disbelief. "Impossible," he said. "Humans, they were extinct. They're legends. They are not real." A cold, calm voice cut through the command channel. "We tried to stay gone," it said. "Didn't work." The car paused. Confusion replaced their arrogance. Then fear. Their ships had faced thousands of enemies before, but never like this. Never beings who seemed to thrive on chaos, pain, and survival. Drop pods fell from the human ships like falling stars. They slammed into the ruined streets, kicking up clouds of dust, sending broken walls tumbling. Humans emerged, moving fast, moving with precision. They did not hesitate. They did not flinch. Every movement, every strike, was designed to end the fight quickly and save the innocent. The Lauren watched in awe. These were not gods. These were demons, terrible, frightening, unstoppable. But they carried mercy. A human soldier lifted a small child from the rubble, shielding her with his own body. The girl's eyes were wide with fear, but the soldier's calm presence made her heart slow. "You're safe," he said. His armor was scratched, his helmet dented, yet the kindness in his voice cut through the terror. The car began to panic. Their soldiers who had marched confidently through cities now hesitated. Their weapons fired blindly, trying to hit enemies who seemed everywhere at once. Human soldiers moved like smoke through fire, vanishing and reappearing, striking, disappearing again. Admiral Reyes directed the battle with quiet authority. Her voice over the comms was calm, but her eyes burned with intensity. "Protect the civilians first. Disable the ships second. We do not kill what we can capture. We fight to save, not destroy." The Lauren saw humans bleed. They saw humans fall. But every fallen human was replaced by another. Every injury met with courage. Every scream answered with defiance. They were unstoppable not because they were stronger. They were unstoppable because they would not allow the weak to die. In the center of the city, Sergeant Cole faced a car commander. The alien snarled, raising a weapon that could vaporize a building. Cole didn't flinch. He smiled faintly. "Your guns don't scare us," he said, and with a single precise move, disarmed the commander and took him captive. The Lorens' hearts filled with hope for the first time in centuries. They watched as humans pushed back the invaders, clearing streets, disabling ships, protecting the wounded. The air was thick with smoke, fire, and the cries of battle, but beneath it all, there was a rhythm. Humans fighting for the helpless created a pattern the universe had forgotten. Courage, mercy, strength born of love, not hatred. One Loren elder whispered to a child beside him, voice trembling. "Do you see them?" He pointed at the humans crouched in ruins, shields raised, weapons ready. "They are demons." "Yes, but they are on our side." The child's eyes widened. "They came because we called them." "Yes," the elder said. "When the heavens were silent, the demons of earth heard our cry." And somewhere above the battlefield, the dark human ships moved like shadows, ready to strike again, ready to defend, ready to save. The Car Dominion realized, too late, that they were facing a force they could neither intimidate nor predict. The first battle had begun. But the Loren now knew something crucial. Survival was no longer a prayer. It was already on its way. The humans of Earth had arrived, and the Car Dominion would never forget their faces. The battlefield of Loren Prime was chaos, but humans thrived in chaos. Smoke curled around broken towers, fires lit the streets, and the cries of the wounded filled the air. The Car Dominion had expected a quick victory. They had expected fear. They had expected obedience. They had not expected humans. Humans did not fight like other species. They were clever, unpredictable, and relentless. They knew how to use the land, the ruins, even the debris as weapons. A fallen wall became a shield. A collapsed tower became cover. A pool of molten metal became a trap. Every action was precise, every movement purposeful. They struck fast, disappeared, then reappeared where the car least expected them. Sergeant Cole led a small group through a crumbling plaza. Each soldier carried scars, old burns, memories of battles long past. Their weapons were heavy, worn, and dangerous, but their skill made them more deadly than anything new. They moved like shadows through fire, picking off car soldiers one by one, their eyes never leaving the children trapped behind walls. "Cover that side," Cole shouted. "Don't let anyone touch them." A young human soldier, barely out of training, nodded. She aimed at a car drone trying to sweep the plaza and fired. The drone exploded, sending shards of metal into the air. Dust and smoke filled the area, but the children were safe. Cole pulled one into his arms. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe now." Above, human ships moved in deadly patterns. They did not shoot blindly. They disabled engines, cut off supply lines, and knocked car ships out of formation. Humans understood strategy, but they also understood something the car could never predict: emotion. They fought for more than victory. They fought for life. They fought because someone else's pain was their own. On the ground, a human demolition team set charges beneath a car war machine. They did not hesitate as the vehicle's cannon turned toward them. They ran, dodging fire, hearts pounding, and exploded the weapon from below. The car soldiers were thrown back in confusion, giving civilians time to escape. The humans did not celebrate. They did not pause. There was always another threat, another person to save, another life to protect. The Loren watched in awe. Their world, once burning and hopeless, began to feel alive again. The humans bled, They screamed, they fell, but they never gave up. Every fallen human was met by another stepping forward, refusing to leave the helpless behind. Admiral Elena Reyes moved through her fleet with quiet authority. Her voice was calm, but it carried power. Prioritize civilians. Disable ships when you can. Capture what you can. Destroy only when necessary. Remember, we fight to protect, not to kill. Humans took every loss personally. A fallen comrade was avenged, a wounded civilian was carried to safety, and a car ship was taken down with precision and fury. Every human action had meaning, every strike had purpose, every step carried history. They were survivors of a harsh world, trained in pain, and now, they used that experience for someone else. The Car Dominion could not understand it. They were strong, but they had never faced an enemy that fought for love, for hope, for mercy. Every tactic they used failed. Every surprise humans executed caused panic. Ships that should have been unstoppable were cut down or disabled. Soldiers who should have terrified others were disarmed or captured. Humans did not fight like conquerors, they fought like saviors. The Loran began to cry. Tears fell as they saw humans lifting children from ruins, helping the elderly, shielding civilians with their own bodies. One young girl looked at Sergeant Cole and whispered, "Are they angels?" Cole shook his head, smiling faintly. "No," he said. "We're just humans. And humans never leave anyone behind." In the skies above, human vessels created a storm of fire and movement. Their ships moved faster than anything the car had expected. They protected escape routes, disabled weapons, and supported troops on the ground. Humans turned chaos into order without pausing for pride or glory. By nightfall, parts of the city were safe. Streets once filled with terror now had pockets of hope. The Car Dominion retreated, confused, afraid, and exhausted. Human soldiers did not cheer. They did not gloat. They checked on civilians, reassured the injured, and prepared for the next wave. The Loran had learned something no lesson or prayer could teach. Humans were monsters, yes, but monsters who fought for life, not destruction. Monsters who carried mercy like a weapon, sharper than any sword. Monsters who had answered their cry when the heavens had been silent. And as the fires of Loran Prime burned low, one thing became clear. Humans were not just survivors. They were saviors. The Car Dominion had underestimated Earth. They had underestimated the demons who lived there. And now, the galaxy would learn why humans do what they do best. The smoke of battle lingered long after the last car ship had fallen. Streets that had once been alive with music and laughter were now silent except for the crackling of fires and the soft moans of the injured. The Loran Prime they had known was gone, replaced with ruins, ash, and the heavy weight of grief. The humans stood among the rubble, exhausted, bloodied, and broken, but still alert. Their armor was scorched, their weapons chipped, and many were missing arms, legs, or friends. Some had burned so deep they would carry the scars for life. Yet none of them complained. None of them faltered. They checked the civilians first, moving carefully among the ruins, lifting the injured, carrying the children, and comforting those who had lost everything. Sergeant Cole knelt beside a small boy whose parents had died in a collapsed building. The boy's eyes were wide, staring at the human soldier's scarred face. Cole's own hand shook as he held the boy. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe. You're not alone." The boy clung to him, trembling, and for a moment, Cole felt the weight of every child he had protected, every life he had failed to save. Admiral Elena Reyes moved through the streets like a shadow, her gaze sharp and precise. She counted casualties, coordinated medical aid, and ensured no Loran were left behind. Her own heart was heavy with grief. Each life lost was a wound on her soul, each death a reminder of the cost of answering a cry when the universe had been silent. She thought of her own crew, some missing, some gone forever, and swallowed the pain. There was no time for mourning, not yet. The car flagship, once the terror of the galaxy, now lay shattered in the ruins of Lauren's capital. Its commander had been captured, alive, staring at the humans who had brought him down without hesitation. "You are monsters," he hissed, venom in his voice. Sergeant Cole looked at him, eyes cold but steady. "No," he said quietly. "Monsters don't protect children." The commander's face twisted in disbelief. For the first time in his life, he faced an enemy who fought for something other than conquest, greed, or fear. The Lauren watched, tears running down their faces. They had never seen such courage. They had never seen mercy paired with strength so absolute. The humans bled for them. The humans hurt for them. The humans had given everything, and yet they still stood in one ruined plaza. A human medic held a young girl against her chest, rocking her gently. Around them lay the bodies of humans and car soldiers alike. Some were missing arms, others burned beyond recognition. The medic whispered softly, "We are here. You are safe now. We are here." The cost was everywhere. The humans had given everything they could. Half of their fleet had been destroyed. Thousands of soldiers would never return to Earth. Ships that had carried hope now floated silently, wrecked among the stars. Every fallen comrade left a hollow in the hearts of those who survived. Yet despite it all, they moved forward. Each human acted not for glory, not for recognition, but because the helpless deserved a chance. A Lauren elder approached Admiral Reyes, his voice trembling. "Why?" he asked. "Why do you do this? Why fight for us when your own world suffers, your own people die, your own ships are gone?" Reyes looked at the ruined streets, at the children clutching each other, at the wounded humans quietly tending to them. Her lips pressed together, and her eyes glimmered with unshed tears. "Because once," she said softly, "we begged the universe too. And no one came. We remember that cry. And when someone else cries, we do not ignore it. We cannot." The Lauren's hearts swelled. For the first time, they felt hope that was not fragile or fleeting. They saw, in the broken but unyielding humans, the proof that courage could still exist in the galaxy. That mercy could still exist in war. That life could be defended, even when the odds seemed impossible. As night fell on the ruined city, humans continued their work. They built temporary shelters, treated injuries, and reassured the traumatized. They did not speak of victories or medals. They did not speak of glory. Their language was action, their message clear. We fight so the helpless can live, and we fight no matter the cost. Somewhere in the distance, children of Lauren Prime looked at the humans with wide eyes. They did not see monsters. They did not see strangers. They saw hope. They saw protection. They saw guardians who had answered a desperate call when no one else would. And above the city, as the fires flickered and the stars shone cold and silent, one thing became certain. The humans had given everything. Yet they were still standing. The cost had been enormous. The victory had been bloody. But the galaxy had seen something it had almost forgotten. The demons of Earth were not just survivors. They were warriors of mercy, and they would not abandon the helpless. The Lauren would never forget. The fires of battle had faded, but the scars on Lauren Prime remained. Streets were torn apart. Towers were nothing but ash and twisted metal. Rivers of rubble ran through the cities. And yet, in the midst of all this destruction, the humans moved with purpose, as if their presence alone could turn ruin into hope. Admiral Elena Reyes walked through the broken streets, flanked by human soldiers. Each step she took was careful, watching the children and elders who peeked from behind debris. Human medics worked tirelessly, tending to wounds that no healer on Lauren Prime could have imagined surviving. Their hands were steady, their touch gentle, and their words soft, even when their voices were hoarse from days of shouting and fighting. The Lauren followed, some hesitant, some in awe. They had seen humans destroy entire fleets without mercy. Yet here, among the ruins of their homes, the same humans were building. They repaired water systems, cleared debris, and shared rations with anyone in need. It was as if each human carried centuries of survival in their bones, and now poured it into the lifeblood of Lauren Prime. Children ran alongside soldiers, laughing for the first time in months. A human Marine lifted a small Lauren boy onto his shoulders, letting him see the sky beyond the ruins. "Don't be afraid," he said. "We've got you." The boy's eyes sparkled, and for a moment, the pain of the past battle seemed to melt away. Above the city, human ships patrolled the skies. They did not stay to gloat. They did not demand praise or titles. They were guardians, keeping the Car Dominion far away, ensuring the people they had saved could rebuild in peace. Their presence was both terrifying and comforting, a promise that the horrors of war would not return. At least for now, the Lauren began to understand something they had forgotten over thousands of years. True strength is not about domination, but protection. Humans, the galaxy's demons, did not fight for power. They fought for life. They fought for hope. And now they were teaching the Lauren how to survive that hope, how to carry it forward without fear. An elder approached Admiral Reyes, bowing low. His voice was soft, trembling with gratitude. "Why do you stay with us for so long? You could leave. You could go home. Why choose to help?" Reyes looked around at the ruined city, at the children smiling faintly for the first time in months, at the soldiers patching walls, and the medics comforting the weak. "Because we promised," she said simply. "When someone cries for help, we listen. We act, that is who we are. And we remember what it's like to need help and find none. We cannot turn away when someone else suffers." Her words sank into the hearts of the Lauren. They had prayed for centuries, hoping the heavens would answer. And yet, it was not gods who came. It was humans, demons of a death world, who had chosen to fight for mercy instead of power. Humans stayed for weeks. They helped rebuild homes, cleared the rubble, repaired transport systems, and trained the Lauren to defend themselves if the car ever returned. They shared their knowledge, but not in arrogance. They shared it with humility, understanding, and patience. Every action was a lesson in resilience, courage, and compassion. When it was time for the humans to leave, the Lauren gathered to say goodbye. Children clung to armored legs. Elders bowed, tears streaming. Ships that had carried hope now lifted off into the stars, engines roaring softly. Admiral Reyes looked at the Lauren, her expression calm, yet there was a flicker of warmth in her eyes. "Remember this," she said. "Strength is not just in weapons or ships. Strength is in protecting the helpless. Strength is in standing up when the world expects you to fall. If ever you cry for help again, someone will come." The humans departed, leaving behind a planet that had seen the impossible. Lauren Prime would rebuild, stronger than before. Its people would never forget the demons who came when the heavens were silent, and across the galaxy, whispers spread. Stories of humans answering cries for help, of monsters who were merciful, of a death world's demons who became heroes. Tyrants hesitated. Empires reconsidered their actions. The galaxy remembered a lesson it had almost forgotten. Mercy is a weapon, courage is contagious, and no cry for help should ever go unanswered. The humans did not stay to witness the galaxy's awe. They never sought praise. They returned to their world, to storms, to chaos, to a planet that had forged them through pain. And as they disappeared into the dark distant stars, Lauren Prime and the galaxy knew one truth. If someone cries out, Earth will listen, and Earth will come. The stars over Lauren Prime were quiet now, but their light was soft and strange, as if the universe itself had paused to watch. The fires of battle had died down. The streets were no longer rivers of ash, though rubble still marked where buildings had fallen. And yet, hope had returned. Not the fragile hope of prayer, but the living, breathing hope that comes from someone risking everything to save you. The Lauren walked through their city cautiously. Children ran freely among the rebuilt walls, laughter returning like music long forgotten. Elders examined repairs, shaking their heads in wonder at the work humans had done. Everywhere they looked, there was proof that life could continue, that kindness could survive even the darkest days. But the people knew the truth. None of this would have been possible without the humans. Admiral Lena Reyes and her soldiers were already preparing to leave. The humans had done their work. They had rebuilt what they could, healed what they could, and trained the Lauren to protect themselves. Their ships hovered at the edge of the atmosphere, engines quiet now, ready to vanish back into the galaxy from which they had come. The Lauren gathered to see them off. Some bowed, some knelt, some simply stared, unable to speak. The humans did not expect praise. They did not ask for thanks. But their presence had left a mark,